Okay, let's continue with the word of the Most High. We're in the first book of the Maccabees because it said they're going to treat us with evil for 400 years. So we're in the first book of the Maccabees, in the Apocrypha, first chapter, the first verse. It says, and it happened after that Alexander, the son of Philip, talking about Alexander the Greek, the Macedonian, who came out of Chittim, the land of Chittim, had smitten Darius, king of the Persians and Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. See? So, after Alexander reigned from approximately 20 years old to 32 years old, he died. And we look at verse 9, 1 Maccabees 1 and 9, it says, and after his death, they all put crowns upon themselves. He had 4 generals that he had to rule his kingdom once he died. They all put crowns upon their head, meaning powers and authority, powers, rulership and authority. So did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So it didn't just start on our time. Evils multiplied in the earth once they came into power. Understand this. Go to Daniel's, the 7th chapter. Daniel's, the 7th chapter, and verse 17. It says, these great beasts, which are 4, and well, we're going to see that, Abraham even seen this, 4 kingdoms that will come up. These great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. See? 4 kingdoms, which will be the Babylonian kingdom, the Persia kingdom, the Persian Mede Empire, what we just read about, the Greek Empire, where the Greeks took down the Persian and Mede Empire to become the superpower of earth. Then they became the Romans. Just them 4 kingdoms, letting you know. Because in the end, the people that would be ruling would be the Romans. You got Rome is Edom, Rome. Idumea, Edom, Rome. So, look at Daniel's, the 2nd chapter. And we're going to look at verse 36. Daniel's 2 and 36. This is the dream, because Nebuchadnezzar had a dream. Babylonian, Cushite, Ethiopian, king. This is the dream, and we will tell the interpretation thereof before the king. Thou, O king, art a king of kings. For the Most High of heaven have given thee a kingdom, power, and strength, and glory. He letting them know, Daniel let him know, the Most High gave you this. And whensoever the children of men dwell, the beasts of the field and the fowls of the heaven, hath he given into thine hand, and have made thee ruler over them all. Thou art this head of gold, because he seen a statue. He had a dream, he seen a statue of a man standing. So the head was of gold. Let them know that that's why the kingdoms that they seeing is starting with the Babylonian kingdom, not going back to the Egyptian kingdom, but the Babylonian kingdom. So he tell them that Nebuchadnezzar, that he's that head of gold, of this statue that he's seen in his dream. And after thee shall arise another kingdom. That's the Babylonian kingdom. That head of gold is the Babylonian kingdom that he's speaking of there. And after thee shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another 3rd kingdom of brass, which shall bear rule over all the earth. So the kingdom that came after the Babylonian kingdom was the Media-Persia, or the Persian Mede Empire. And the next kingdom that came on the power was the Greeks that took down the Persian. We just read about that in 1 Maccabees, the 1st chapter, the 1st verse, which the Protestants took out of your revised version Bible. That's why you don't know what's going on between Malachi and Matthew. Because Malachi is in the Persian and Mede Empire. Matthew's in the Roman Empire. What happened to the Greek Empire? It's right there in the Maccabees and the Apocrypha. And we're reading about it here. But if you don't know prophecy, how are you going to know what this is talking about? Or the true history. So it says, verse 39, and after these, after Nebuchadnezzar, shall arise another kingdom inferior to thee, and another third kingdom, which is of brass, which is the Greeks, which shall bear rule over all the earth. And the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron, for as much as iron breaketh in pieces and subdueth all things, and as iron that breaketh all these, shall it break in pieces and bruise. That's the Roman Empire. And whereas thou sawest the foot, the feet, and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron. Remember the Romans, what? They're iron. They're the fourth kingdom shall be strong as iron. So then you know, with this iron is the same people, but it's a difference. And whereas thou sawest the feet and toes, part of potter's clay and part of iron, the kingdom shall be divided. But there shall be in it of the strength of the iron of the Romans, had that great what? Roman legion, Roman military. For as much as thou sawest the iron mixed with murky clay. But it's going to be weak at the same time. And as the toes of the feet were part of iron and part of clay, it's the toes, that's the last part of the body that you see in the statue. Talking about America. So the kingdom shall be partly strong and partly broken. Partly strong and partly broken. Divided. You know, you look at it, strong, strength here, but then you got this weakness over here. In all aspects of wickedness. And whereas thou sawest iron mixed with miry clay, they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. And messing with everybody. Laying down with everybody, every nation. Great melting pot. But they shall not cleave one to another, even as iron is not mixed with clay. So they ain't gonna work. So he said they ain't gonna work even though they try and mix themselves with the seed of men. And in the days of these kings shall the power of heaven set up a kingdom, which shall never be destroyed. And the kingdom shall not be left to other people, but this kingdom, it shall break in pieces. You go to my breakdown of Joel, the second chapter, you see break in pieces and consume all these kingdoms. And it shall stand forever. The kingdom of Mashiach Yahushua, the kingdom that we're going to have is the Israelites. It's going to last forever. For as much as thou sawest that the stone was cut out of the mountain without hands, and that it break in pieces the iron, the brass, the clay, the silver, and the gold, the great power, most high power, have made known to the king what shall come to pass. This prophecy. Future prophecy. The most high power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob have made known to the king what shall come to pass hereafter, in the future. And the dream is certain, and the interpretation thereof sure. They don't know. This was going to happen. Then the king, Nebuchadnezzar, Babylonian, Ethiopian, Cushite, fell upon his face. He was going to kill everybody, kill all his positions, kill everybody. Daniel came to the rescue, prayed to the Most High, came to understand the vision. Then the king Nebuchadnezzar fell upon his face, listen, and worshiped Daniel, and commanded that they should offer an oblation and sweet odors unto him. The king answered unto Daniel and said, of a truth it is that your power is a power of powers. Talk about the Most High. Power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Jacob being the forefather of the 12 tribes of Israel. See what he's doing? He bowing down. He admit the Most High power is a power of powers, and a Lord of kings, and a power of kings, and a revealer of secrets, seeing thou could have revealed his secret. Remember, he sold his secrets to his servants, the prophets. Then the king made Daniel a great man. See? He made Daniel a great man, this Israelite man of the tribe of Judah, and gave him many great gifts, and made him ruler over the whole province of Babylon, and chief of the governors over all the wise men of Babylon. Set him up. Now look what the brother did. Look what Daniel did. Then Daniel requested of the king, and he set Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, his boys, his partners, his 3 partners, over the affairs of the province of Babylon, but Daniel sat in the gate of the king. He let his partners come up. He brought them up with him. He didn't just come up by himself. He brought them up with him. They were faithful in the faith, though. Go to Daniel 6 and 20. Just give you analysis of how you look at how it's going to be a remnant of these other nations. Why are they going to be able to have an opportunity? Because you see their king, as the king is, so is his servants. So is his officers. Bow down. Daniel 6. And look at verse 20. And when he had came to the den, when they had thrown Daniel in the lion's den, he cried with a lamentable voice unto Daniel. And the king spake and said to Daniel, O Daniel, servant of the living power, is thy power, whom thou servest continually, able to deliver thee from the lions? Then said Daniel unto the king, O king, live forever. My power have sent his angel. See, the Most High always sent an angel. You ain't dealing with the Most High. He's always sent his angels. He has sent his angel and have shut the lions' mouths, that they have not hurt me. For as much as before him innocency was found in me, and also before thee, O king, have I done no hurt. Say, innocency was found before the Most High, and before you, king, I have not done anything to hurt you. Then was the king exceeding glad for him, and commanded that they should take Daniel up out of the den. Take him out of the den with all these lions in there, at peace with Daniel. So Daniel was taken up out of the den, and no manner of hurt was found upon him, because he believed in his power. Hear that? Because he believed in the Most High. Power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Listen, and the king commanded, and they brought those men which had accused Daniel, and they cast them into the den of lions, them, their children, and their wives. And the lions had the mastery of them, and break all their bones in pieces, or ever they came at the bottom of the den. Listen, then King Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages. Because see, the Persian, the Medes of the Persian and Medes took down who? The Babylonians. This Darius wrote unto all people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I make a decree that in every dominion of my kingdom men tremble. Hear that? He decreeing this. The king that's over everybody, that men tremble and fear before the Most High power of Daniel. For he is the living power, and steadfast forever, and his kingdom that which shall not be destroyed, and his dominion shall be even until the end. Hear that? He let them know. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth. Who have delivered Daniel from the power of the lions? He acknowledging the Most High. So this Daniel prospered in the reign of Darius, and in the reign of Cyrus the Persian. See? Darius of the Medes and Cyrus of the Persian. A joint kingdom. But he prospered. And you see what he's saying concerning the Most High? Ain't getting that in this kingdom. Go to Daniel's 3rd chapter. Daniel's 3rd chapter. In the 10th verse. Thou, O king, hast made a decree that every man that shall hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, shall fall down and worship the golden image. Fall down and worship the golden image. And whoso falleth not down and worshipeth, that he should be cast into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. So let's get the law on this. Go to Exodus the 20th chapter. So you know, because a lot of people, they look at different things that is made or that you have and not really understanding this. Exodus 20 and 2. I am the Most High thy power. Exodus 20 and 2 now. Which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods, no other idols before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. This is key right here. Remember this. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. Whatever is made, whatever is tangible you can see on this earth, you don't bow down to nothing. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Most High, thy power, your power, am a jealous power, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Do what I say do. Keep my rules and regulations. So now, they done made a decree that everybody, when they hear the sound of the trumpet and the psaltery, the harp and all this, they got to bow down to the statue, wherever they at. Daniel 3 and 12. There are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, your idols. They ain't bowing down, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Then they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spake and said unto them, Is it true, O Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego? Do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, flute, harp, sackbut, psaltery, and dulcimer, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast the same hour into the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that power that shall deliver you out of my hands? Real boastful, real prideful, right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this manner. If it be so, our power, the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom we serve, is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace. And he will deliver us out of thine hand, O king. Their confidence on with who? The Most High. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that we will not serve thy gods. If thee burn us up, then hey, know for surety that we not going to bow down to your gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his vision was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spake and commanded that they should heat the furnace 17 times more than it was wrought to be heated. Heated up 7 times more than this furnace supposed to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and to cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Throw their butts in the fiery furnace, he told them. Then these men were were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of the fires slew those men, mighty men, mind you, that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, killed the mighty men. That's how hot this furnace was. 7 times hotter than it was supposed to be. And these 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down bound into the midst of the fiery furnace, burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished, and rose up in a haste and spake, and said unto his counselors, Did not we cast 3 men bound into the midst of the fire? Then answered and said unto the king, True, O king. He answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose. Loose. Remember, they tied them up. He said, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire, and they have no hurt. And the form of the 4th is like the Son of the Most High. Who could that be? It's an angel. But he said the form of the 4th is like the Son of the Most High. Then Nebuchadnezzar came near to the mouth of the burning fiery furnace, and spake and said, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, ye servants of the Most High power. See how he's acknowledging them? And this Bible has been here forever. For whoever want to acknowledge the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, really recognizing his people, but what it is that he's done here, it should be acknowledged. He said, hey, what did he acknowledge them as? Ye servants of the Most High power. You Israelite servants of the Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Come forth and come hither. Then Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego came forth of the midst of the fire. And the princes, governors, and captains, and the king's counselors, being gathered together, saw these men, upon whose bodies the fire had no power. I mean, they didn't even smell like smoke. Nor was in hair of their head singed, neither were their coats changed, nor the smell of fire had passed on them. Can you imagine that? This fire is 7 times hotter than what this furnace really can take. And they don't even smell like smoke. That's the power we serve. Hallelujah. Listen to what he said. Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel. See what it said? In verse 25, at the end, and the form of the 4th is like the Son of the Most High. You got the clues here. But he's telling you here that he sent his angel. Verse 28, Then Nebuchadnezzar spake and said, Blessed be the Most High power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, who have sent his angel. We know the Son of the Most High is a Mashiach, but he's an angel here, a spirit, and delivered his servants that trusted in him, and have changed the king's word and yielded their bodies, that they might not serve nor worship any god, any idol, except their own power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Most High. Therefore I make a decree. Remember, Darius made a decree, right? Therefore I make a decree that every people, nation, and language which speak anything against the power of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego shall be cut in pieces, and their houses, he said he's going to cut them in pieces, and their houses shall be made a dunghill. That's where you bring all the boo-boo and piss and everything, because there is no other power that can deliver after this sort. Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon. See? That's why you look at the remnant that's going to be saved of these nations. As the king is, as the leader is, so is his servants. You see, they give once again, the second time, give him praise to who? The Most High power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Daniel 4:17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers, and the demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that we the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men. Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the basis of men. The basis of men. Look at verse 29. In the end of 12 months, he walked in the palace of the, let me get verse 28. All this came upon the king Nebuchadnezzar, right? It's talking about King Nebuchadnezzar. At the end of 12 months, that's a year, he walked in the palace of the kingdom of Babylon, right? The king spake and said, is not this great Babylon? Remember, the Most High rules in the kingdom of men and set up over it whomsoever he will, and set up over it the basis of men. But listen what he said, verse 30. The king spake and said, is not this great Babylon that I have built for the house of the kingdom by the might of my power? And for the honor of my majesty? Where the Most High fit into that? He don't. While the word was in the king's mouth, while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken, the kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen, and 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High, tell you I better exalt the Most High, ruleth in the kingdom of men, hallelujah, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. Most High name is jealous, y'all. Better recognize, shoot. Hold up. Get Exodus 34:14. But thou shalt worship no other God, no other idol. For the Most High, whose name is jealous, is a jealous power. I mean, he just said, hey, Daniel 4:17, the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and set up over it the basis of men. Now he gonna say he did this? Oh, you better watch out. More people better learn how to praise the Most High for everything. Daniel 4:31, while the word was in the king's mouth, there fell a voice from heaven saying, O King Nebuchadnezzar, to thee it is spoken. I heard what you said. The kingdom is departed from thee, and they shall drive thee from men, and thy dwelling shall be with the beasts of the field. They shall make thee to eat grass as oxen. You're going to be like an animal, like an oxen, eating grass like an oxen. And 7 times shall pass over thee, until thou know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will. The same hour was the thing fulfilled upon Nebuchadnezzar, that same hour. And he was driven from men, and did eat grass as oxen, and his body was wet with the dew of heaven, till his hairs were grown like eagle's feathers, and his nails like birds' claws. Ooh. He was ruined. What? Finished. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven. He lifted up his eyes unto heaven, and mine understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High. You know what he said? I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing. I tell you that in Isaiah 40:17. And he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven, the host of heaven, the angels of heaven, and among the inhabitants of the earth, and the ones that live on the earth. And none can stay his hand, or say unto him, what doest thou? At the same time, my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom, my honor and brightness returned unto me, and my counselors and my masters sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom, and excellent majesty was added unto me. He gave the glory to the Most High. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven, the power of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, all whose works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride he is able to abase. He let you know. That's why I say you have a remnant of these nations that's going to be saved. Heard what he said. He gave glory to the Most High. Jeremiah 17:4. Jeremiah 17:4. And thou, even thyself, thou shalt discontinue from thy inheritance, meaning our land of Israel, that I gave thee, and I will cause thee to serve thine enemies in the land which thou knowest not, for ye have kindled a fire in mine anger, which shall burn forever. So he said, we're going to have to serve our enemies in the land that we know of not. So we couldn't know this land as Israelites. To go to a land, be strangers in this land, we couldn't know this land. So when you look at, go to Deuteronomy 28 and 48. Say, therefore, Deuteronomy 28:48. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies. He said we're going to serve our enemies in the land that we know of not. Therefore shall thou serve thine enemies, which the Most High shall send against thee in hunger. You want something to eat? Got to get it from them. You got to serve the enemy for that. And in thirst, want something to drink. And in nakedness, wants clothes, materials, and so forth. And in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. See. That yoke was upon our neck in slavery. Now, you done took the yoke off because he done programmed your mind to be destroyed, polluted. So you don't need the shackles on your hands and feet and on your neck anymore. Because what's on your neck? Your head, your mind is destroyed. The Most High shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth. July 4th, 1776 sound like the end of the earth to me. As swift as, give you a sign of what they would go by, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. That's why we speak English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, Russian, German, whatever, all over. They scatters amongst all these nations. And we're going to be gathered from all these nations. Deuteronomy 28:68. And the Most High shall bring thee into Egypt, which means captivity, slavery, and bondage again. This is what it's talking about, with ships. By the way whereof I spoken to thee, thou shalt see it no more again. Where Moses speaking to us, we ain't see. As a nation, we ain't seen our homeland anymore. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there, when we go on these ships, when they sell us on these ships, the bottom of cargo slave ships, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, slave men and slave women. Who does equate to? No one but we, the 12 tribes of Israel. And no man shall buy you. No man shall save you, redeem you, because of what we did against the Most High, not following his laws, statutes, commandments. So, go to Genesis 15 and 13. Genesis 15 and 13. Where it all began. Genesis 15 and 13. And he said unto Abram, know of a surety that thy seed, your seed, shall be a stranger in the land that is not theirs, and shall serve them. Like we say, we're going to serve them for one of all things. And they shall afflict them 400 years. I mean, you're going to be afflicted 400 years. You're going to feel that affliction. Go to 2nd Ezra 15 and 10 to 12. 2nd Ezra 15 and 10. Behold, my people is led as a flock to the slaughter. I will not suffer them now to dwell in the land of Egypt. He say, his people led to a flock to the slaughter. He say, will not suffer us to dwell in the land of Egypt, the land of our captivity. But I will bring them with a mighty hand and a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before. Smite Egypt with plagues as before. Remember, the Most High put 10 plagues upon who? The Egyptians. We was chilling. Did nothing happen around us. But he said he gonna smite them with plagues. Where we at? Mainly over here in this Western Hemisphere. With a stretched out arm, and smite Egypt with plagues as before, and will destroy all the land thereof. See that? So they're going to destroy all the land thereof. Verse 12. Egypt shall mourn, and the foundation of it shall be smitten with the plagues and punishment that the Most High shall bring upon it. That's why you see all these disasters happening. And you want to know about that Egypt, go to Revelations 11 and 8. And their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, talking about America, which spiritually is called Sodom, because of all the things that they doing here, as they did in Sodom and Gomorrah, men with men and women with women. You don't know if it's a man or you don't know if it's a woman nowadays. And Egypt, what's Egypt? Spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Hamashiach Yahushua was crucified. Come on, who pushes Caesar Borgia more than America? Look at Trinity Broadcasting Network. You'll see that so-called white image of Jesus Christ. That's who they named him. And in the Bibles, who painted this picture like that? They did. So, this is what we looking at. What they're doing. So when you go to Exodus 12 and 40. Exodus 12 and 40. Now the sojourning of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. That's 430 years. Remember what the Most High said. He said 430 years. Go to Isaiah 55:11. That's why I started out with all those scriptures initially when we started out, to give you understanding how the Most High operates. Somewhat, because we just know in part, prophesying part. But Isaiah 55:11 says, so shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing whereto I sent it. So what did he say? What did he say? Genesis 15 and 13. And he said unto Abram, his name became Abraham, know of a surety that thy seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. They will afflict them 400 years. We rule in Egypt. I mean, how do you look at what we just read in Exodus, the first chapter, from the 7th verse down? And the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly and multiplied and waxed exceeding mighty. Are we waxed exceeding mighty now? No. But we waxed exceeding mighty, and the land was filled with them. That's why they had to plot to have us go into captivity under them. We were exceeding mighty. We had at least from Joseph on to about 4 dynasties that we were ruling in. Exceeding mighty. Had to bring us down, man. See, we don't know anything about it because we looking at, whatever it is that we've been programmed to be, minds be polluted, to believe the lie. But here we're going to go from what it is that is written in the scriptures and understand that we get just having a little bit of common sense. You see? Go to Exodus 12 and 40. Again. Now the sojourning or temporary residents of the children of Israel who dwelt in Egypt was 430 years. It's not 400 years, 430 years. But it's counting from the time that the Most High gave a covenant to Abraham, to Isaac, to Jacob, to the time they went into Egypt, which would be about approximately 215 years. Then from there, 215 years, we wasn't in no captivity, no 430 years. Believe this. Because Jacob, you just read about Pharaoh setting Joseph up. When Jacob and his brothers came there, who do they deal with? They dealt with Joseph. Because he had come up with the idea to make sure there was going to be a famine for 7 years to have Egypt have more food, supply the food for everyone. Intelligent Israelite. Once again. So he elevated them to be right under him. When he died, when the Pharaoh died, who do you think took over? Joseph. We were exceeding mighty. But then Joseph died. He died, and then his brothers died. All those that was, during the time of Joseph, they all died. And we still grew, like you just said, exceeding mighty. We came down. We was brought down.